Well, with you in just about a minute. We're just making sure all our signals are streaming out well. Looks like Facebook's going out well. Waiting for YouTube. YouTube just kicked in, and X. So we're out there. Be watching us on the Chatham Journal Facebook, Chatham. Uh, yep, Chatham Journal X feed, and also on the YouTube channel. So that's all going out there. All right. Let me hit this, and we will be on. All right, folks. Gene Galin here with the Chatham Journal. Hey, man, spring high school sports season is come to a close. We've got spring sports playoff wrap up from I'm Gene Galin with the Chatham Journal. I got Ashibo Rojas of the Chatham News and Record. You're all around sports writer. He's out there everywhere. We're going to talk about girls' playoffs results for Seaforth and Woods. Also, a brief update on the Pittsboro skate park, then a roundup of the various sports out there. Ashibo's got information. It's award season, so there's been awards already presented. So we'll give you an idea of that. And then, of course, today the Chatham News and Record paper comes out. You can pick that up. We'll talk about Ashibo will provide the stories that he's got in there. And of course, everyone's favorite Ashibo's athlete of the week. And then next week, we are going to be doing our final wrap up of the season 24-25 Chatham County High School sports wrap up. And then we go into summer break, and next football season isn't that far away. Practice and everything else gets into gear in August. So let me get rid of the graphic, and let's kick this off with, hold on here for a sec. I got too many buttons. There we go. All right, Ashibo, you want to start off the wrap up? And before we started, you mentioned soccer. I think soccer was the last thing that was in the playoffs that Chatham County schools were in. So let me hand it off to you.
Yeah, so Thursday we had fourth round in the girls soccer playoffs, and on the 1A side we had Woods Charter, the 2 seed. They lost to number 3 Lejeune 3-1 in that game. They hosted Lejeune and ended their season with a 16-5-1 record, 12-0 in the conference. And during that game, Lejeune just got out to an early start, 1-0 lead with just under 3 minutes into the game, and then they got another goal about 11 minutes later. From Jaslyn Miller, who scored an assist from Olivia Schuler, and JC Canayan, if I hope I'm saying that correctly, scored the first goal for Lejeune. So 2-0 advantage. Woods Charter trying to make up some ground. They got a goal from Lucy Poitras 7 minutes before halftime. But early in the second half, Lejeune got a third goal from Scarlett McLean, pretty much put the game out of reach there, and they went on to win. So, and then on the 2A side, I was at that game at Wake Prep between Seaforth and Franklin Academy. Seaforth, the 4 seed, Franklin Academy, the 1 seed, who's still undefeated and is playing in the state championship coming up this weekend. Rematch of last year's fourth round with Seaforth and Franklin Academy played at Franklin Academy. Field, coaches complained of maybe smaller field, no lights. So it was a tough game last year. The Seaforth won 1-0, and this year we kind of expected the same thing, just a defensive battle. And for the most part, we got that, especially on Franklin Academy side of things. But they got an early goal to start things off. Just 6 minutes into the game, they got one from Audrey Keith on the assist from Kayla Rice, and Kayla Rice was responsible for all 3 of Franklin's goals in this one. And at halftime, of course, Seaforth is just down 1-0. Then they come out the second half, nearly 7 minutes into the second half. Rice got her own goal off of a rebound, a couple misses there, close in front of goalkeeper Katie Leonard's face. She had blocked a few, but Franklin Academy just very active in that game, getting to the ball, and got rewarded with a score there. And then 22 minutes left in the game, Rice sent across to Riley Kane, who scored the game icing goal in that one. Of course, giving Franklin Academy the 3-0 lead and pretty much put a game out of reach with the time given. So, watching that game, Seaforth, the difference was just a lot of missed opportunities for Seaforth on their end offensively because they got out, they ran like they like to get ahead of the defense with Mara Darden on the left side, Caitlin Ehrman going up the middle and on the right. And they had plenty of opportunities. It was one with Caitlin Ehrman. It was a perfect pass from Viana over the top, and Caitlin chased it down. Got one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but Franklin Academy's goalkeeper, Griffin Coward, just had a really good game and saved that one to prevent Seaforth from getting on the board. And talking to Coach Viana, he said, and you can read it in the story that came out this week. I mean, if we had some of those hit in the first half, it's a very different game because it was closer in that first half and early second half than the score led on. So, but still, hats off to a great season for Seaforth. They finished their season with a 23-1 record, 13-0 in their conference as well. And yeah, unfortunately, we won't get a back-to-back or another year with the Chatham County team in the state championships. But I mean, especially for Woods Charter, the year they had young team, they lost 10 seniors from the team last year that made their third straight state title appearance. And they come out here, they have, of course, expectations of doing well in the conference, but as far as playoffs, talking to Coach Stewart, it's a little bit of a question of where his team was at, considering their age and maturity. But they showed that they were ready for the moment and won some big games against some good teams in the playoffs, got to the fourth round, and also, too, of course, got the number 2 seed. So hats off to the Wolves for a great season, which could have been a rebuilding year. In their eyes, probably is a rebuilding year, but in a lot of other programs, that's still a really great season.
Yeah, I was going to say about Woods Charter. Yeah, they lost a whole bunch of stuff, and you and I have talked with Coach Stewart, as you mentioned, their young team. I did see their middle school girls soccer team has done pretty well, and they actually, Woods had posted some pictures of the girls that are going to be moving up into high school. Again, they'll be freshmen next year. Coach Stewart has built up a program there, and so the girls soccer team has consistently been strong, so we see what happens next season. On Seaforth, you mentioned, I think when you and I talked with the coach earlier, he's got a few folks that are graduating, but his daughter's coming back strong, and I figure they both teams should be able to get back into playoffs next year. What are your feelings right now?
Yeah, Seaforth's in. I think they're losing just 2 seniors with Caitlin Ehrman and one more. I can't remember her name at the moment, but Caitlin, that's going to be a big loss because she's, of course, finishing as Seaforth's all-time leading scorer in high school. And she really, carried the load offensively for Seaforth this year, especially those times where Sophia was out with illness or injury. And I think also, too, that would be just a big piece to replace on the offensive side for Seaforth. But with this whole team coming back, a lot of the freshmen on Seaforth as well that had to fill in for some players that, left the program through the injury or other circumstances this year. They got a lot of great experience playing high-level teams, going deep in the playoffs once again. They got a taste of playing arguably the best team in the state on the 2A side with Franklin Academy. So they're more prepared, for moments like we saw on Thursday, moments that, Seaforth overcame the year before when they went to the state championship. And I think with, leadership of Sophia Viana going to her senior year, this is still going to be a very dangerous Seaforth team next year. Like we said, like we've seen the past couple seasons. So it's in Woods Charter in the same boat, right? Young team, did some good things. Of course, great coaches for both programs. And especially with the new conferences, it's going to be different for Seaforth, I would say, on the 5A level. But for Woods, staying back in that 1A conference, they're going to see the same teams they've seen pretty much, throughout the past couple of years. I don't see a situation where both teams, don't find themselves in the state playoffs and making another deep playoff run.
Yeah, folks, and we'll talk more next week on our wrap-up show as to the conferences and how things are. Who's going to be playing what. Things are going to be a little bit out of ordinary. I know both Jared and Cameron from Seaforth and Northwood have been talking with each other. They're going to try to have games with each other. I think all the Chatham County schools are going to try to play as many other schools within Chatham County as possible. All right, before we go on to the other full wrap-up, just want to let folks know has been interested in the Pittsboro skate park. The ramp part, skate park part itself has been completed. It's just that they're now waiting to put in fencing along the perimeter of that. That was brought up on the Pittsboro Town Commissioner meeting on the 12th of May. Don't yet know when that is going to be started or completed. I will try to find out for next Thursday's show as to what the expected clothing date is. Just a reminder, yes, you can go out there, look at it, take pictures of it, but don't be skating or biking or anything else on it. All right, that's the scoop on the skate park. Let's wrap up anything else that we need to wrap up, whether it's lacrosse, we wrapped up soccer, or anything else, track and field, golf. What else you've got that we need to wrap up, Shiba?
Yeah, with all of our spring sports, we can wrap up. Wrap up the season with the all conference kind of special award winners. Of course, we'll have a list of all the all conference athletes, first and second team for both Mid Carolina 1A, 2A, and Central Tar Heel 1A Chatham athletes. But we got some special award winners that we can release now that the spring season is over in both conferences. And starting with baseball, the Mid Carolina 1A, 2A conference, and starting with baseball, we have Northwood pitcher Finn Sullivan earning Pitcher of the Year honors for that part of all conference selections. For softball, we have two special award winners. We have Emma Grace Hill from Seaforth after a really great season, an historic season with the Hawks this year. She earns Pitcher of the Year honors. And then Player of the Year is Sally Oldham at Chatham Central. And then golf, we have 2024 defending champion Ty Willoughby being named the Boys Golf Player of the Year for the conference. And then his coach, Bobby Stewart, also at Seaforth, gets Coach of the Year honors. And then in boys tennis, Player of the Year, Joaquin Hernandez Gonzalez from Seaforth, and Coach of the Year, Ross Martin from Seaforth. In boys track and field, of course, the Hawks took the boys to a outdoor track and field title. So they got some recognition for that in the all conference selections. Runner of the Year, Sebastian Calderon from Seaforth, who's come on strong. Gradually throughout his career. In his senior year, he picked up 2 state championships, one in indoor and another one in outdoor. And then Coach of the Year for that one, Meredith Bazemore, the coach of the boys team. Just to cap off a great year for them with 2 special awards. And with girls soccer, Offensive Player of the Year, Caitlin Ehrman, like we were just talking about, all-time leading scorer in Seaforth soccer history. Did a lot of great things on her own and with Sofia Viana next to her this season, leading the Hawks to another 20-win season here. And then Defensive Player of the Year, Sydney Nesos from Seaforth, and she's also sharing that award with Abby Stadmakar and from Southeast Alamance. So it's going to be a shared award for that one. And then Goalkeeper of the Year for girls soccer, Katie Leonard from Seaforth as well. So Seaforth is collecting a lot of awards in all conference. And like we said, we'll have the Mid Carolina full list of first and second team all conference selections in the paper this coming week. And then over to Central Tar Heel. Before we get there, we can talk about Central/Middle Carolina lacrosse awards for boys. We know Joe Hubbard won Coach of the Year for Seaforth. And on the girls' side, Specialist of the Year was Natalie Becky, also from Seaforth. So good things to cap off the year for both the Seaforth lacrosse programs. And over in the Central Tar Heel 1A conference, some of the special award winners for girls soccer, Offensive Player of the Year was Lucy Poitras from Woods Charter, and Graham Stewart. He won Coach of the Year, and they have plenty of all-conference selections from that team as well. And also at Chatham Charter, Goalkeeper of the Year was Jody Shrieff in the Central Tar Heel 1A conference. So congrats to those athletes. Track and field, we have Anna Pillar from Woods Charter earning Central Tar Heel Conference Runner of the Year, and Woods Charter coach Tommy Johnson was also named Coach of the Year. And then from Chatham Charter as well, same category, track and field, Women's Field Athlete of the Year, Jordan Garner, Men's Field athlete of the year, Braylon Harris, and not men's, I'm sorry, boys track athlete of the year was Taurus Price from Chatham Charter. And then Chatham Charter as a team also won the Central Tar Heel Conference 2025 Sportsmanship Award for the sport as well. And then just going through, we got some more special recognitions for all conference for Chatham Charter. Pitcher of the year for baseball, Zach Cartwright from the Knights. And then coach of the year for the Central Tar Heel Conference, Bill Slaughter. And in women's, well, I think that's, also men's tennis as well. Looking at the list here, Thomas Bjork from Chatham Charter earning, of course, the Central Tar Heel Conference Tournament championship title. And yeah, I think that's all we have for special awards and all conference from the county. So a lot of names, a lot of schools, a lot of great athletes that did some great things this season here in Chatham County during the spring season.
Now, are you having that in this week's paper today, or is that coming out in next week's paper?
Next week.
Next week. So, folks, you definitely need to pick up next week's paper, but you can also pick up this week's paper, which you can pick up today. So, Shibo, what stories do you have in the paper this week that folks need to know about?
Yeah, so this week, of course, we have our wrap-up of the last fourth-round games for Seaforth and Woods Charter. We also have wrap-up stories from last Tuesday's lacrosse games with Seaforth when they did a doubleheader with the boys and girls. Both teams lost in their respective rounds on that night. We also have more the story of more local athletes making college decisions. We had a few from Chatham Central put ink to the paper, and then some other commitments from Seaforth and decisions from the athletes at Woods as well, as we get ready to graduate our next class of seniors in a couple weeks. And then also out today online, we have a story on Solid City and the Solid City Parks and Rec rolling out some new youth athletic programs. So they announced that tackle football is coming back and will stand in place of the Solid City Youth Football League started by Donald Duns last year. They're also bringing in a recreational soccer league as well. And talking to the new Solid City Parks and Rec director, Tristan Burnett, he talked about the Jumpstart program, what they've gotten started as well, which is just $10, one-time fee of $10, where kids aged 3 to 14 can join him and some other kids at Bray Park every Tuesday until July 28th for just a training session on general athletic foundational skills as far as speed, conditioning, strength, and things like that to kind of prepare athletes across all sports for the upcoming seasons, especially just emphasis on moving and learning how to run, how to move your body, and also some agility things as well. So a great opportunity for the youth of Solid City to go out and get active this summer and prepare for any sports that they'll be playing in the coming season. So yeah, a lot of great things happening with Solid City athletics. And then in the paper now, but online tomorrow, we'll have a story on Seaforth girls basketball coach Charles Bird earning the Region 5 Homer Thompson Award honors from the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. That's an award that highlights, coaches who lead with character, respect, and integrity, both on and off the field, from the, words from the NCAA. And yeah, I mean, considering, the type of program he's built at Seaforth, we talk to him all the time, and they embrace the family dynamic, and also just a really close team together. And like they said in his kind of description of the award, reminding his team to grow 1% every day. We saw that, just from these past two seasons, going from last year to this year, how they've been able to continue winning, stay consistent, and play really good basketball as a team together. So congrats to Coach Bird for that honor. And then also too, we'll have a preview of the Heroes League for Chatham summer softball team. Remember last week we did one for the Legion baseball team, Post 305. So Chatham Post 292 is coming once again this year in the Heroes League for the second year. And they'll have an 18U team and a 16U team. 16U schedule is already out in the paper. The 18U schedule still has some things to be worked out, but is now going to be online tomorrow when the online version hits the website. So you can see the schedule for the 18 and 16U teams there. And yeah, they'll get started on, well, the 18U team will get started, I think, on Monday. So yeah, summer baseball and softball is here. Of course, Legion has already gotten started with a couple games. And yep, that's what we have in the paper this week.
All right, folks, so you definitely need to pick up this paper this week, and you're going to need to pick up the paper next week because, again, Ashibo gave you a preview of what's coming up. Also want to let folks know if there's something you want us to wrap up next week or touch on next week, feel free in the comment section on Facebook to go ahead and note that, or just send an email to Ashibo. Or if you follow him on Ashibo R38 at X, you can also make a comment there and let him know what you'd like us to talk about next Thursday, because we'll have a big wrap-up show. The other thing, before we talk about Athlete of the Week, I do also want to remind you folks that Ashibo doesn't just do Chatham County. He's got himself another podcast with a couple of buddies. I think you said one of them works at ESPN. You need to check it out. When's your regular schedule on that, or do you kind of flip-flop? I've seen a couple of them, and look, folks, Ashibo's doing a great job here in Chatham County, but he's a sports guy who enjoys things beyond Chatham County. So if you want to take a listen, he's going to be around on the show as well. So I want to give folks a little bit more scoop on do you have an idea of what's coming up that you're going to be talking about next?
Oh, yeah. So right now we're taking a little break. We have some of our co-hosts going on vacation right now. So, kind of wind down from the summer. One of our other co-hosts is still in grad school as well. But once we get back, of course, we're going to talk about the NBA Finals and catch up on there. A lot of great stuff. I know, Gene, you might have been keeping up with your Knicks. I don't know how big of a NBA fan you are, but we'll definitely talk a lot about the Knicks and what they did this season. But of course, now that we know Oklahoma City's in the finals, we'll probably get our predictions in before those get started. So we usually drop during the week between Tuesday and Wednesday, and just kind of give our takes on some of the biggest sports stories and biggest sports news that happened the week before. And we also really encourage, our listeners to interact with us on social media and also through our podcast as well. So just like I said, it's just a loose environment, fun time with us. We get to kind of step outside of, what we handle at work and go in and talk about what's going on the big stage of things. So yeah, pro sports, college sports, also to culture topics as well, with music, art, movies, things like that. We just kind of just have a good time with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're a guy, you'll totally understand what Ashibo's talking about. It's just a bunch of guys talking about stuff they enjoy: sports, music, culture, movies, a whole bunch of different stuff out there. So you know what? Take a listen to it. I mean, you don't have to watch it. Just turn it on. If you're working, just listen to them talking about it. I think you will find that you'll enjoy it. Just give them a holler, because again, Ashibo's doing a great job here in Chatham County, but he also realizes the world isn't just print, it's multimedia. So and you can tell that they play off of each other well. So go ahead and take a listen. All right. So we are now coming up to the part that everybody waits for: the moms, the dads, the student athletes. We wait for Ashibo's Athlete of the Week. However, let me find the correct headline. So I press it. All right, I am ready. Go ahead and announce who the Athlete of the Week is.
Yeah, so this week's Athlete of the Week, we're going to go to C4's Girls Lacrosse team, highlight Natalie Becky, that earns the honor this week. Watching her in that last playoff game, she's doing a lot for C4, doing all she could for the Hawks in that 7-6 loss to Swansboro, where they were trying to come back in that game after being down 6-2. She joined, her teammates Mia Moore and Renee Risby. So only two players with multiple goals in that one. And she grabbed 4 ground balls for them. She also caused 4 turnovers and controlled 7 draws in that game, and had a big impact, like we said, on C4 trying to come back in that game. They really hunkered down defensively. They got some big breaks going their way, also led by Becky. But even though in the loss, it capped off a great season for her. After a breakout freshman season at Northwood last year, she came over to C4 became the Hawks' leading scorer with 95 goals, and she also led the team with 83 ground balls, 33 caused turnovers, and tied with junior Claire Cantrell for a team high 20 assists. So she's had a big impact for the Hawks this year. Historic year for them, most wins in program history, and another playoff berth. So with her, still being so young, she was a sophomore this year. She'll have 2 more seasons. We'll see where she can kind of help lead the C4 Girls Lacrosse program these next couple of years.
Yeah, congratulations, Natalie. And I know your mom is especially proud of you because your mom actually texts me every once in a while, not wanting to know when the pictures are going to come up, and she's really proud of what you're doing. So, Mom, make sure you pick up a paper this week so you can cut it out and save it. The other thing I want to let folks know, I got a call from one of the high school parents last week. She wants to know, well, I want to be able to preserve this so that my grandchildren, she's thinking that far ahead, can be able to see stories about how their daughter, their mom did back in school. Look, you can do a search on it. The only thing, if you're looking to preserve that kind of stuff, there's boxes, there's folders. You just want to look for stuff that is able to preserve the newspaper without it aging. And for the most part, you're looking for stuff that's not loaded with a bunch of chemicals. There's different plastics. There's different papers that you can use. You can use folders. You can use photo albums. I use photo albums with archival sleeves. All the stuff is available out there, so you can save that kind of stuff. So if you see a story that you see of your favorite athlete, go ahead and save it, cut it out, and preserve it so that you can have it for your grandchildren. I don't believe folks are thinking that far ahead, but they are. So, and I love the fact that they love Ashibo's writing and the athlete of the week. Also, next week coming up, we will be talking a little bit about, we're going to highlight some of the athletes of the week and some memorable performances. So that's one of the things we've got geared up for next week. Let me see. I think we kind of wrapped it up. Well, usually we talk about where is Ashibo and I going to be next week. Ashibo, you're probably going to be at some of the Legion games, and I may be at some of the Legion games. But what else? And I also appreciate the fact that you did write about what Siler City is doing and the Parks and Rec department is doing over there, because that's kind of important. I think with the emphasis on kids' health, staying active and not being on a device is kind of important. All right, so I'm yik-yakking here. Let's see what else we need to cover here before we wrap this up. Reminder, follow Shibo on X, Shibo R38. I'm at ChathamNC Sports. Next week, we'll do the big wrap-up. If you got any suggestions, send it over to us. Shibo, do you have anything concrete that you're going to next week or not yet?
Like I said, I know I'm going to go to, I have to check to see if it's still on schedule to be played tonight, because I don't think they played the first game against Durham last night. But the American Legion team should be playing Durham tonight at Jordan Matthews, 6:30. And also, too, I'll try to make the Heroes opener for ATU. I think that's Monday night. And also at Jordan Matthews. But if you guys want to follow me for some extra coverage, I will be freelancing for high school OT this weekend, covering the 1A and 4A softball championships on Saturday. So I'll probably be on X, reporting on those if you guys are interested in seeing who wins in those games, especially the 1A side, considering Chatham Central was one of our deeper 1A teams in the 1A playoffs. So yeah, that's where I'll be at. Pretty busy next couple of days with baseball and softball.
All right, so let's keep an eye on Ashibo. Not only is he doing Chatham County, but he's also doing high school OT, so a bigger, broader audience. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Next week, we'll see you again, same time, noon time. We're going to end this stream.